is it already on? Yeah. So over the summer, I was with my Boy Scout troop, and we went on a whitewater rafting trip. And when we went into dock, there were 8 of us in a crew, and there was 1 boat behind us, and there was 1 in front of us. All 3 boats had 8 people. We only knew who was in our boat. We didn't know who was in front of us. We didn't know who was behind us because the people in front of us docked in about 20 minutes early, and then the people behind us docked in about 20 minutes later after that. So we're going through, it's pretty easy sailing at first. We're going through the easy parts, and then finally, the second half of the afternoon, after we have lunch, we start to get into the F5s, F4s, and F3s, which is basically, like if you think about tornado scaling, they range from F1s to F5s, F5s obviously being the biggest and strongest. So we were coming up to an F4, and we were flying through the whole entire course. The boat that was originally 20 minutes in front of us we could now see them, and they were probably a quarter of a mile to half a mile away. And there's a big wave coming, and everybody can see it. Even the boat that's going, but they're just cruising. They're cruising into this huge wave and taking no initiative. They're all just sitting back, enjoying the scenery to the left and to the right of them, and they're just ready to get hit by this huge, huge wave. And we could already see it. They're setting themselves up for disaster. Finally, they approach the wave, and they come up to it, and they go right up to about the peak of it, and the wave rolls them right over. All of them are in the water now. At the bottom of the rapids, there's this thing called the meat grinder, and it'll suck you in, and people usually will get caught, and it's like a turbine, and it won't let you out after you're stuck in. So because these people didn't take the initiative and didn't prepare themselves for the giant wave that was coming their way, they ended up in the water and put themselves in a horrible, horrible position, set up for failure and possibly even death. So our boat was coming up behind them, and they're screaming, help, help. They're swimming against the current. They had a guide with them who thankfully was able to react fast enough, hook a tether up to the raft, and I don't even know how he did it, but was standing on top of the raft, jumped backwards, and flipped it back over. The people who were in the boat originally were a little bit older, so they couldn't, they didn't have enough strength to pull them back in, so we ended up coming up alongside of them and pulling them into the raft. And in the end, they were all okay, and they all survived, but it was the fact that they didn't take the initiative when the time came, and they didn't attack life. They weren't aggressive about the decision that they made. When they came up to that big wave, they were so lackadaisical, and they were just hit by it and overwhelmed. And that's how some situations are in life. Sometimes you can't react. Sometimes something just comes on you, and you're just sitting dead in the water. But that's when we have to learn from our failures, because when that happens, we have to be prepared for the next time a wave like that comes our way. But we always know that somebody's behind us to pick us up, especially, while we're here in college or while we're just going, through the motions in our youth. We always know somebody's there to pick us up. But once we're on our own, like those adults were, sometimes you may not be as fortunate where somebody's going to be behind you ready to save you. So I guess the moral of the story is you got to take initiative and attack life, because if you don't, that wave's going to come over and bowl you over, and sometimes nobody's going to be behind you to save you, and you'll be screwed.